We occasionally talk about foreign policy here on this channel, mostly in Ukraine, but really, Brexit itself is almost a perfect combination of foreign and domestic policy. And today, I really want to talk about um, what's going on in Narrow Karabakh and the conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Because from what I can tell, this isn't over. I don't think Azerbaijan, on this moment, looking at the advantage it has, and especially part of why this is all happening in the first place is because of Russia. The fact that they have essentially fallen on their sword in Ukraine, and some of the stuff that Azerbaijan has um, targeted Russian peacekeepers and even killed Russian peacekeepers. And the response from Russia has been nothing. Absolutely nothing. If this was a US peacekeeping force, the F-35s would have been up in the sky, up in the air, ready to strike back almost instantaneously. And yet, Putin and Russia are busy falling on their sword in Ukraine. So much so that they can't even protect their own allies in Armenia. And this raises other questions. Because remember, in the past, Russia has been a big security guarantor and a supplier of troops and equipment to other countries that have faced rebellions or even coup attempts. In Belarus, we've seen Putin send in Russian troops to stabilize Yanukovych's government in Belarus. In Kazakhstan, Putin deployed troops there to stabilize that government. One of the big things that at the start of this war, Putin was really annoyed about, if you remember, was that Kazakhstan was not supporting Russia's play in Ukraine. And Putin was annoyed because, hey, I'd sent troops out to stabilize you. Kazakhstan's, well, I'm not getting involved. And it's not just here, it's places in like Chechnya. Might the Chechen rebels who really don't like their current leader, who is very, very pro-Putin, look at the current situation and go, Russia's so preoccupied in Ukraine, can we finally maybe get rid of this lunatic who's currently ruling Chechnya? It's not unreasonable to think so. And because of this, because of the fact that Russia has been failing on these security guarantees, and especially what has gone on in let me hopefully say this right, in Narrow Karabakh, or we'll just call it Karabakh for ease. um, what especially has gone on here is because Russia has failed to provide security guarantees to Armenia and to keep up its side of the bargain. Why has it failed to do this? Because it is so busy in Ukraine. And remember, if you've paid any attention to what's been going on here, you'll remember that Russia has its own version of NATO and that the Prime Minister of Armenia and Azerbaijan had a full-blown argument in front of Putin in what was meant to be this big unifying moment, saying, look how good our, alternative NATO club is, guys. Come join us. This does not look good to Russia. This does not look good at all. And I will say this now, this isn't over. This is not over by a long shot, because currently Azerbaijan's government is very, very nationalistic, and they're not over. They are not over this. This whole conflict that happened in 2020 was very much a revanchist driven ideal that they had since the 90s, since the fall of the Soviet Unions. it ain't over. Not by a long shot here. And this could erupt into a war. And this is why Armenia has let this happen, because Armenia is not in a fit state to really fight a war that they know they would lose. And they would lose far, far more if they lost in this war. So now, not only is Armenia now having to take on thousands of Armenians who are fleeing from Karabakh, because the Azerbaijan government has put out the message saying, hey, you've got to prepare to integrate into Azerbaijan and speak our language. And during that time of year, well, you've got a year to independently decide for yourselves. And there are a lot of claims and a lot of people that are worrying about ethnic cleansing, because there have been videos coming out of Azerbaijan troops just walking down the street and just shooting into homes. There are severe worries here about ethnic cleansing, and people are worried, rightly so, about this. This is something that could really happen. I mean, just look at this for a second, this map. As you can see here, this is the Karabakh in sort of purple, and this other color that Azerbaijan has held. There's your corridor, this tiny corridor from Armenia to supply Karabakh, something that the Russians were meant to be guaranteeing that supplies would flow through. Azerbaijan has blocked that continuously, which has made things and conditions in Karabakh even worse. Now, if you can see on the map here, you can see that, oh, look, there's a piece of Azerbaijan here, but there's Armenia here. And now, in this yellow part, which is what Azerbaijan took from Armenia back in 2020, there are calls from the Azerbaijan government. There are people in that government who want to finally connect Azerbaijan and make it whole. They want to just close that off and take that territory. Mark my words, this is not over. Not by a long shot. And the fact that you've got now Armenia openly saying, hey, Russia, you were meant to be the guarantor of our security. You were meant to make sure this never happened. But because they are literally 98% of their military is committed to Ukraine, they can't even defend their own allies. This is why you are seeing in this region, in this area, more and more US diplomats. Because there's a lot of countries now who were like, well, we were relying on Russia to be our version of NATO or provide security guarantees. When push comes to shove, Russia has just shown it will not back its allies. So not only could I think this lead to another conflict, I think, between Armenia and Azerbaijan to take that territory and connect up fully Azerbaijan, but you are looking at the possibility of other wars, coups, revolutions in other countries where Russia has traditionally been the guarantor, the supplier of troops or militaries or peacekeepers or whatever, to make sure that their allies remain in power. That's no longer the case now. This whole crisis has just proven that. And unfortunately, there are real world consequences. And people who are worried about ethnic cleansing going on in this area, they are right to worry. They are right to worry that that might happen. So, mark my words, this isn't over. Azerbaijan is not finished. Maybe for the time being, they're going to sort of lock down what it's got. But mark my words, they're not finished yet, not by a long shot. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.